YFM.
Around 8 minutes after 10, Y107.9 FM. We're in for Wiley the Boat series this moment. Kindly join us on Facebook, www.facebook.com/Y107.9 FM.
This is YFM.
Now, for the sake of my first-time listeners, Wiley the Boat series is YFM's innovative radio programming content to develop the youth and provide inspiration to all our listeners. Now, stats reveal that Ghana's population is young, with about 61% being 30 years and below. The International Labour Organization's ILO's Youth and Future Work of Survey shows that about one-third of the youth in emerging and developing countries view their future work life with fear and uncertainty because there's so much to learn from. Now, YFM is Ghana's #1 youth and urban radio station with year-on-year dominance in youth radio programming, according to the Geopol. I would therefore deem it a big responsibility to add to the bouquet of creative and informative content on our station by hosting leaders and achievers in various sectors, industries in Ghana and beyond, and bringing hope, meaning development and leadership coaching tips to our vibrant listenership, followers on radio and across our digital platforms. Now, in the aftermath of the global observation of International Women's Day, the Wiley Boat series today explores the life and career of one of the many women across the country who have worked their way up to break the biases. Now, not only through her success, but also through inspiring other women to punch above their weight and take their places among their male counterparts. She began her career at Morgan Stanley in finance and asset management after graduating from Dartmouth College, and then later joined the world's largest brewery, leading global teams ranging from investor relations to post-merger acquisitions. Ladies and gentlemen, she later took up the role of global director of the strategic cost management of Adelhaize Group, a global leader in food supermarkets, before returning home to Ghana. Now, she played a leading role in securing funding for major developments at the Ghana Airport Company. Madame Sophia Baah is the COO of mPharma and my guest this morning on Wiley the Boat series. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome my wife from style to the Wiley the Boat series. And let me just put this in. We've had a very interesting conversation. Just ahead of the leaderboard. It's going to be a fun one. I can attest to this, I promise you guys. Just stay with us. If you are on WhatsApp, 0202222073 will get you in to the conversation. If you have a question along the line, if something she says inspires you and you need more on it, just draw my attention to that via WhatsApp. If you are on Twitter, it's very, very simple. Just get on there. You don't necessarily have to tweet at Y1079FM, although I'd really appreciate if you do that. Just make sure you put in the hashtag Wiley the Boat series. My team will dig it up. Whatever you post, we'll pick it up and then, send it our way. If it deserves to be out here, we'll definitely put it on. A quick reminder, this show is proudly sponsored by Cowbank, Forward Together, MTN Ghana Everywhere You Go, and Chocomalt by Casapreco. Welcome to YFM. Mrs. Baah. Should I call you Mrs. Baah or Sophia? Sophia is fine. Sophia, welcome to YFM.
Thank you.
We're going to start off with a conversation about International Women's Day. But before we get into that, what kind of songs do you listen to? What kind of songs do you love? Guys, this is going to blow your mind, though. Tell me the kind of songs you love and your favorite artists.
Okay. I think from my mother's influence, I like old school. So one of my favorite albums is Shirley Brown, Woman to Woman.
Beautiful.
It's something that I really enjoy. And then just growing up in New York, it's Biggie, it's Puff, it's Mary J. Blige, it's Jodeci, it's Snoop. Those are the ones that I...
So if I put you on the spot, would you be able to do your favorite Snoop song or Biggie song? Would you be able to sing along? Since it's a radio station, we might be able to, play it so you sing along.
No,
a few lines you won't be
able to move
vibe to it. Okay,
exactly.
We'll definitely get to that. Exactly. How did you spend yesterday, International Women's Day?
Sure.
How was yours yesterday?
Yesterday, what we did is, as mPharma, we really focused on Africa and good health. And one of the initiatives that we've been driving the latter part of last year is something called the 10,000 Women Campaign, where we're really trying to create awareness and also encouraging women to really get screened and tested for cervical cancer. So yesterday, the majority of my day was spent launching our product for testing. And so right now we've launched HPV Dna Testing product that laboratories can now use to really start testing women.
Nice.
And so we really want to encourage women as much as possible to go out there and test. So the 10,000 Women Initiative is a way to encourage people to start. And so what we're doing is we are testing 6,000 women in Ghana and
Wow.
4,000 women in Nigeria for free. And so in Ghana, we've already collected samples for 3,000 women, and we've tested 735 of them. What has come out of that is, out of that, 735, 28% were positive.
Wow.
For the high risk, which is very high when you compare to the African average of 21. Now, this is just a small sample,
yeah.
so I think the more we test, the more visibility we'll have, and actually maybe the higher the rates will be. But it's really about creating awareness.
Awareness, yes.
And also gathering data to support some of the various initiatives.
That's beautiful, and I really must commend you guys on this. The first step is usually creating awareness, letting people know this actually exists, and you back it up with data by checking them. And so far, you guys have done a great job. I think we wish you guys the very best in the remaining 3,000 you're doing. I know you're going to expand as time goes by with that. Now, your duty is your position is CEO of mPharma. Before we get into your personal life, what does your duty entail? How tedious is your work?
I don't think it's not tedious. I really so when I left Ghana airport, before that, my brother had talked about this amazing company, mPharma, and he was like, Sophia, you have to meet Greg, you have to meet Greg, you have to meet Greg. So eventually I called Greg, who's the CEO and co-founder of mPharma, and he explained to me what mPharma was trying to do, and it just, it was a no-brainer for me because of what he was trying to accomplish. And it was really about, at the time, it was really about making drugs affordable and accessible in Africa. And when I moved to Ghana, my biggest areas of concern for me was around education and healthcare. And so seeing somebody who was actually trying to break the barriers and really change the dynamics around healthcare provision was really exciting for me. So my day-to-day is to really make sure that we are executing and implementing that vision through the various ways.
Sounds perfect, and it sounds fun.
It's challenging too.
It's challenging, yeah. That was I think that was the last sermon I had for Vitamin Y on my mid-morning show. So there's a bit why I motivate people on what I've learned, and the focus was challenging yourself with challenges. Okay, so certain opportunities come your way, and they may not look very enticing. Challenges may come along the line, but you find the beauty in life when you accept challenges, when you jump over the hurdles. That's when you see how high you can jump, especially if you have passion for what you're doing and you really genuinely love it. You love the purpose of it. Every day is a challenge, but it's beautiful for you because you get home and you feel like, wow, we screened 3,000 people today. That's fulfillment. And so it's perfect. I mean, if you love what you're doing, the peace and the happiness comes from the challenges that comes in. So it might be challenging if you're looking through the glasses of just life, but in fulfillment-wise, it's beautiful when the challenges come. Now, give us a clear picture of your early environment. You mentioned that, a little bit of you grew up in New York and that, but let us know the kind of family setup you are from, how growing up was like, your interests, the kind of things that you were doing back then.
Okay. So I grew up in London with a very strong mother who was very particular about education. The England that I know is very different than the England that is now. You had one black person on TV called Trevor McDonald, Lenny Henry. When they came on, you were so excited because you saw somebody that looked like you. Exactly, that looked like you. And so in that context, my mother was very much about education and being the best that you can be. And once you've done everything else, blame it on color. So that is the environment in which I grew up in. And, people talk about who's your role model. For me, my role model is my mother. I don't have to look further than my mom because of what she was able to do and accomplish. So that is the environment in which we grew, and everything was around education and getting the best exposure you could. So if it was about a school trip to Holland, I was in there.
You were in there.
If it was about, whatever it was that was able to, give you a well-rounded education for you to be able to live an independent life and really stand up and be counted. That is where my mother's focus was.
That's where the interest was. So definitely you were more involved in all things that will improve you.
I was also an athlete, exactly.
You were. Tell us about that.
So I used to play netball. I don't know if people know what netball is, and basketball. And I used to do 100 and 200 meters and long jump.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sounds exciting.
Yes.
So you were the all-round person.
I was,
honestly.
and I think that what has done also is that that interest in sport has lived with me. So now I work out every morning. You know, I exercise, and I'm trying to encourage my children, but they're not so excited. But it continues to live with me.
I read a book on playing a sport, I think last Friday. I'll check the name and then let my listeners know. But apparently, playing a sport at a tender age instills a different level of discipline in you. Discipline that you can apply in everything.
Exactly.
And so I always say it's not by chance how our education system here directly involves PE and you picking up a sport at a tender age. Just so you're able to understand discipline from a different perspective. You get stuck to it, you keep doing it. You've been working out since. It's a part of you now because you learned to sports, and you know, when you don't do that, you feel like you're being left out. You're not really living up to the life you started with. That's beautiful. Now, what were some of your interests? You told us you had keen interest in healthcare and changing the dynamics of healthcare here in Africa. But way before that, growing up, what were the things you looked at and had interest in?
I loved reading.
Reading.
I loved reading. I used to really enjoy reading, but I think the interest that I had was around being a person that, even though I left Ghana when I was very young, it has always been this interest of helping, giving back.
Okay.
So when I went to college, I studied international relations because I wanted to go and work for the UN and save the world. That has always been my interest. And then I interned at the UN and was disillusioned about all the things that were going on. Interesting enough, when the time I interned there that summer, it was, I think Kofi Annan was Under Secretary General for Peacekeeping. And it was during the whole Rwanda issue, and Boutros Ghali was Secretary General. And they would have meetings, and he is trying to give Africa a voice at the table. And he'll have meetings and ask all the African leaders, you know, representatives to come to the meetings. Either they turn up or they don't turn up on time, and they sit there and they don't participate. And instead, and it's interesting because when you speak to some of the secretaries that work there, they were excited to have the African leaders show up because you know why? Because they make money. They'll go out, take them out to dinner, they'll do all kinds of things. And so watching that and looking at the level of interest, it was disheartening actually to see, because here I am filled with all these things about how I want to save the world and the UN and make a difference. And here these people that had the opportunity to do it and they weren't. And you know, one of the nicest experience I had was when I started there, I was introduced to Kofi Annan, and so he kind of took me under his wing and protected me from the pariahs. And you know, he was so frustrated because he also wanted them to, and they just weren't willing. So I think, you know, initially that's where my interest was, you know, really going to work for the UN and, you know, making a difference.
We'll go through the educational journey and see how that turned out along the line. But I'm told your part of your duties is actively inspiring other women to punch above their weight. Growing up, did you have a role model? Were you inspired by any particular individual?
Well, part of my duty is not to inspire. I don't see it as my duty. It's not in my job description.
So you're active.
Yeah, I think it's just something that comes natural to
Hindsight,
some people, you know, and because I benefit and you also want to also help others. And for me, it's not just about women. It's just about being in a position where you have experience that you can support others, and you do that. As I said, for me, I don't have to look any further than my mother as my role model. And you ask my brothers, you ask those who have been impacted by her. There is no other person that could ever attain that status in my life than my mother.
Wow, that's beautiful. Now, take us through your educational journey. You had interest in generally helping people. You played sports along the line. What stages? I mean, let us understand. Some of us don't really understand how the UK... I'm told it's just like how the African educational system is. So
I don't know my children in the international system. So so during my high school, I played a lot of sports. but I didn't take it to university. So I did my university in the U.S.,
Nice.
where it's an interesting story.
Can we hear that?
So, I applied to universities, and because you want to do all the Ivy League, and everybody wants Ivy League. So I applied, and I applied to Dartmouth College. And I remember it was a Friday afternoon, and I was doing a friend's hair, and I got the letter, and I opened it, and my heart just dropped.
Wow.
I had been rejected. I was like, oh my God. So immediately I pick up the phone and I call admissions, and I said, I have the grades, I have everything. Please tell me why you rejected.
Yeah, I want to know why.
So the guy said, okay, we'll come back to you. So then this is the weekend. I'm thinking, oh my God. Then Monday they come back and say, actually, we're going to offer you a place at Dartmouth.
Wait, so you got rejected?
Yeah, and I called them.
And then you picked the phone.
Yeah.
Who advised? Did you follow your instincts, or
I called them.
you just called them?
Yeah, and I
And
said,
you asked why?
Because I think I knew I had everything on the checklist. So my question is, so
Why?
what is it? Why? And so the Monday they came back and said,
We have an offer for you.
We have an offer for you.
Wow.
And-
That's the beginning of greatness, if you ask me. You challenge sometimes, you see, and that's the point in all we do. Be conscious. I'm sure if you were not very aware of how powerful you were, you wouldn't have taken that step.
And I think also, behind every person, there are people who influence him. And I have an amazing brother, my older brother, who also pushes. He's always pushing and encouraging us, who's also being a big part of this as well. He was the one that said, America, 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 because, and I think one of the reasons why was because when I looked around me in the UK, if you looked at where I was coming from, in order to be able to get into an Oxford or Cambridge, which is what the Ivy is equivalent to somewhat, it would have been that much more difficult. And in America, it seemed easier. I think that if you look at what's going on now, that may not be the case. But at the time when I was going through that and comparing to England, the opportunities were open to me in the U.S. were much more accessible to me than they would have been in the UK.
So you stayed there for what, 4 years?
Where?
United States of America? You studied for?
More than that.
More than that.
More than that. So I did my undergrad, I did my MBA, and then I worked and then moved to Belgium.
And then you moved to Belgium.
Yeah.
What sent you to Belgium? Was it work?
Yes, after my MBA, I was looking for a career with international opportunities, and so it's interesting. So this company called Interbrew came on campus at Columbia Business School, and they were recruiting. I had no idea who they were, so I did a little research, and I found out they owned a brand called Stella Artois beer.
Okay.
And coming from the UK, I knew Stella. That's all I knew.
Yeah, Stella beer.
Yeah, and so then they invited me to come to an interview in Belgium. And I live in Manhattan. I live on, 110 and Cathedral Parkway, right next to Central Park.
Very busy side.
It's busy, exciting, 24 hours. And then I get this, they came on campus, we did our first interview, and they said, okay, we'll fly you to Belgium. And then I get to Belgium, Brussels. They're like, no, it's not Brussels, it's Leuven. I was like, what the hell?
Beyond that.
What is Leuven? Brussels was kind of, I knew because when we were in London, my mother used to take us for weekends, so I knew a bit, but I didn't know where Leuven was. And in Belgium, they speak French and Flemish. Flemish is a bit like a derivative of Dutch.
Yeah.
So I think from what I hear, Dutch and Flemish is like American English and English English.
Okay, so it's a slang of it,
It's similar. And so I get to Leuven. So first when I arrive, I was like, oh my God. And New York City is very lively. People talk to you. An American will ask you, how you doing? They may not mean it, but they just ask you.
They just
anyway.
ask you, I have to ask you.
Yeah, and then so I get to Leuven, and it's like, so I decided to do a weekend so I could get to know, and I was like, oh my God, this place is a village. So I got on the first Eurostar and spent the weekend in London, and then I came back on Sunday night, and I went to Leuven for my interview. And had the interview, I left, I was like, oh my God, I hope they don't call me. This place is horrible. But in the end, they called me, and I decided to take the chance. And I think because at Morgan Stanley, it was working with things that you couldn't feel and touch. And this was really, FMCG, a product that you could see on the shelf,
exactly.
you could touch, you could get excited, but you were selling fun, and it was also an opportunity to travel and live the continental European experience. And I just thought, why not?
Just give it a try.
Just give it a try. And I packed my bags and left, and the rest is history. And I had a great career.
Would you describe that as one of the most decisive moments of your career journey? Or there are ones that are far more, tougher ahead?
No, I think that it's the most decisive.
Most decisive.
Because it was the biggest change for me. But it was the most decisive because of the opportunities it then opened up for me, both personally and also in terms of my career development.
You had to obviously sacrifice a lot, live behind a life that would have been far more smoother for you. You took up an opportunity that was a new experience for you. What were some of the most important things you learned in your period over there?
In Belgium?
Yes.
I think sometimes we underestimate the importance of culture, the cultural environment in which you work in. And I think for me that was the biggest, coming from, in America in some ways it's more superficial. Whereas, the Belgians, even though it was a multinational company, we had people from Russia, Brazil, all kinds working there. It was the culture that one had to adjust to, which was the challenge. And the work wasn't so much, it was really around adjusting to this European culture and learning how to work with people. So for example, when I first started in the trading floor at Morgan Stanley, as I said, for me, my mother has always said, it's when you've exhausted all the reasons, then you make it about color. So when I went on the trading floor at Morgan Stanley, and the traders are just rough. They're just rough. And the perception of what traders are like, So I realized that in order for me to be able to have a seat at the table and even have a discussion and be accepted.
Have a voice on that.
Yeah, they love sports.
Okay.
So on weekends, I would spend my weekends watching college football, basketball, NFL, NBA, so that I could actually have those conversations. So it got to a point where, we'll do, Sophia, what's going on, and then we'll talk about
You're
college.
more than an analyst.
Yeah, because, and so that was the icebreaker for me, in order for me to be able to reach out to them and, for them. And because of that, and because I was able to do that, I also learned a lot from them because they were willing to go the extra mile to help me and support me. So I think that, so when you really, learn, pick up things that helps you to break the barriers.
Yeah,
right?
I think in Ghana they say steady the room. Yes, when you get in, steady the room. Beyond what is supposed to be done in here, if you realize the interest is on
culture.
newspapers, exactly. You make sure you start grabbing some. There's a way to get through because everyone is there for a reason. We're all here because work-wise we're capable of staying together, but in order to break into certain sectors, you need to learn the room, study the room and see what will actually get you in there. And you did that. You made it work.
Yeah.
So you stayed with that job for how long?
Which one?
In the breweries?
Belgian
Yes,
one.
exactly. Because I think
9 years,
Morgan
yeah.
Stanley was the early start, early stage.
I did it for 9 years, and I started out in investor relations. At the time I went to Interbrew. Interbrew was a small brewer, and the brewery sector was very fragmented, and there was a lot of acquisitions going on, and most of the beer companies were family owned. So Heineken is a family business, and so the Interbrew family decided that instead of being on the table, they wanted to be at the table.
Okay.
And so they went on a lot of acquisition spree. And at the time, Heineken was the the premium company and brand that everybody knew, because what Interbrew didn't have is they didn't have this global brand, because all the other companies were known by their brand. Heineken, Carlsberg, and then Interbrew, who are you? Yeah, so it was like, how do we get people to understand that Interbrew is a credible company and is here to stay? And so my job was really looking at the North America, the Americas investors, and really selling the Interbrew story to them. And so over time, you know, they acquired Beck's, which was a small Belgian brand, German brand in Bremen. And then they went on this acquisition. And so during that time, I was traveling with the CEO, the CFO, to all these big institutional investors, really trying to convince them as to why they should buy the Interbrew stock versus Heineken.
The Carlsbergs and
exactly. So what is it about Interbrew? Why should we buy Interbrew? What is it? And so for me, that was exciting for me, because it was a challenge to actually improve our investor base. And so, you know, when we, by the end of my time in investor relations, you know, I had grown the North American investor base to about 30% of our investor base as well. And I'd won Best Investor Relations for my role. So it was something that it was new, but I loved, because I also love the product. And you know, when in New York, in America, beer is for men. It's not very sophisticated. When you're a woman, you go out, you drink white wine.
Yeah.
Whether you know what it is a Chardonnay or a Chablis, it's just like it's white wine.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and so moving to Belgium, you realize there's a whole culture around beer that is amazing. And there are so many different types of Abbey beers. You know, there are flavored beers. There are so many different kinds of beers, like 200 plus different beers, you know, and all different alcohol strengths. And, you know, my favorite beer is Lef. And I think that's now Interbrew has bought SAB Miller, and now you have a lot of Stella around now, and I think they have Lef in some of the places. Lef Blonde.
That's
really
your favorite?
Nice. It's my favorite. And then when it's really hot, there's one called Hpv Rosé, which is a beer with, it's flavored with raspberry, but it tastes like wine, and it's very easy. It goes down very well.
All this sound very exciting.
It is.
Yeah. And these were the things you were exploring. So beyond just doing your...
And chocolate.
Exactly. Doing your job, you were actively involved. And that's what you mentioned earlier, that this was an opportunity for you to have a look and feel at what is being produced. So what you were previously involved in had to do with things that you couldn't see physically. But these ones were physical. You could feel them. And you had favorites in there as well. So obviously the challenges were far more exciting for you. Now, quite a number of, you know, women on this platform have stressed that there's a growing need for companies to take risk with young women in professional fields. Now, what level of sacrifices, in your opinion, must young women now, especially in our region, take to prepare and position themselves to take up influential roles at their workplaces? You were quite young, if I'm not wrong.
So I don't like the word sacrifice.
Okay.
It's what work needs to be done. And for me, it's not about, you know, you wake up today, I want to be a leader. It's do the best job wherever you are, and you'll be elevated. There are some amazing women at mPharma, young women at mPharma, who have, you know, and I don't want to mention names, who have just worked hard, right? And they've been rewarded. And so it's not about, I want to be a leader. It's, I want to do the best job possible. And the outcome,
I want to lead.
I will lead. The outcome is I'll be CEO. But whatever opportunity you get, take it and deliver. And the rest will come.
It will just follow.
It will just follow. And so for me, I don't think it's sacrifice. It's, I think, putting in the work.
Yes.
And knowing, having a plan for your life. You know, have a plan so every decision you make is made easier, because you have that anchor.
The
that
blueprint
you hold
is there.
Exactly. And so every decision you make is towards that.
Wow. Gems, guys. 0202222073. Sophia is with me here. Sophia, COO of mPharma. We'll get to talk a little bit more about mPharma in the course of the show. If you have a question for me, the hashtag is Wiley the Boss Series. Kindly send it through. Quick reminder, the show is powered by Powerbank, Forward Together, MTN Ghana everywhere you go, and Chocomo by Casapreco. Now, the world is run by women, and Powerbank Women Banking helps them do that. At Powerbank now, we are committed to building a world where women thrive, where women run businesses that grow. We do this because we believe in the power of women to multiply wherever they are. Are you a businesswoman? Are you a woman in business? Partner Car Bank now. If the answer is yes, partner Car Bank Women Banking today. Let us help you build capacity, network with other female entrepreneurs, access financing and competitive rates are tailored just for you, and then access global markets for your business to scale up. At Car Bank, we believe in the power of women to cause change, and that is why we have signed on to the UNSDG goal number 5 to support Ghana achieve equity for women and then girls, okay? So contact Car Bank Women Banking via email wbu at carbank.net, or chat with us online on any of our social media handles, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Car Bank PLC, and on WhatsApp. You can also visit any of our branches. Let us start your business or help your business scale up, okay? Car Bank, Forward Together. So at what point did you decide Ghana is an option? I mean, I have to come back home. Because from what you are saying, everything was good. It was exciting. You were earning it. You were growing in it. At what point did you say, okay, Ghana, I must go?
I think in the back of your mind, you always have this desire to come back home. But, you know, whatever home means. And at some point, I have 3 children. And I think what was also important to me, as I said, I left Ghana when I was very young, very, very small. And I never had that. I was also in the UK during a time of peak racism. Where I didn't really have an appreciation for who I was and the confidence in myself as a person of color or a woman of color. And I think moving to Ghana and giving my children that opportunity to have that feeling of pride and strength. And I look at one of my nieces, Mamisi, she's now studying in the US. And Mommy is, you know, she's a bright, intelligent, beautiful young woman that's studying medicine. And Mommy is like, I am not going to change my accent. I'm going to keep my Ghana accent. And that is the pride and strength that she has, the confidence that she has in who she is. And I think, you know, giving my children that opportunity, my daughter's now studying in the UK, and when she, you know, she talks with the pride, and, you know, yes, when was it? The Independence Day. I called her and she was wearing her African wear, you know, and that sense of pride in who you are, understanding where you're from, and having that, being able to give my children that opportunity has been really amazing.
Wow, such a good reason for, you know, wanting to come back home. It sounds perfect. But have you been able to link up with other, you know, young women who grew up in your space, who are from here, to explore the opportunity of coming back? Because until you try, you never know what is in there for you.
But, you know, interesting enough, I don't think one has to do that, because, you know, I have friends whose children have graduated from universities in the US, and they're coming back. Right? So I don't think that I even have to go out there and encourage people to come back. I think people are coming back anyway. And I think that, you know, when people see the opportunities, or they hear stories like companies like mPharma, who are doing great things that give you an opportunity to actually develop your career, to have an impact. If those opportunities are available, you don't need to twist anybody's arm. People will come willingly.
They will naturally just, fall with it.
Exactly.
Great. Now, since you came to Ghana, it's been a lot of work for you.
Yeah.
And
I realize I'm not Ghanaian.
now, I think at this point I want to talk about mPharma. Where did your journey with mPharma begin?
Okay.
And you I think you gave us a gist in the beginning, but at what time? What space were you in? What was happening in your life the moment mPharma came in?
I think it was looking for an opportunity, looking for another opportunity. And my brother had been going on, my younger brother's in the US, Eugene, and he was like, Sophia, you have to go. They're doing great things in the healthcare space. So I started, reading about what Greg was trying to do. And I called and said, this is, and I'd also gone through, my father passed, but my father had prostate cancer. That's not why he survived it. And when he was going through his treatment, and my father was blessed, he had children that could actually afford the treatment. But when you look at the cost of this treatment and how many people can afford that, and you hear the stories, it was really weird when I came and people for their birthdays will go and pay hospital bills. Yeah. Or for Christmas, they'll go and pay hospital bills. And, hospital bills, why? And so for me, as I said, the key thing was healthcare and education. And you always want to, at the back of my mind, that feeling of always wanting to give back has never left. And so mPharma offered me that opportunity to be able to actually do that. And especially having been in Ghana for a while and seeing the inequities in healthcare and looking at, listening to Greg and his passion for wanting to make a difference, to disrupt the status quo, and actually build from bottom up and have a presence to be able to influence and change the way healthcare is delivered.
All right. Elizabeth Baba, good morning going out to you, my brother. Selassie Adenta wants to find out what mPharma is about. I think we've said so much about the duties and then what got you involved with them, but what does the company deliver? What's your goal? What's the company's activities about?
Okay. So our goal is to have an Africa in good health. That is what mPharma is about. Everything we do is around making sure that happens. So we're a tech-driven company with operations in 9 countries. We're in, including Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Zambia, Malawi, Uganda. And what we do is we want to really focus on delivery of primary healthcare services. So in our portfolio right now, we have, we currently deliver drugs or supply drugs to almost 730 retail pharmacies and hospitals. And then we actually operate 203 retail pharmacies across our network. So if you, in some countries, we're actually a number 1 or number 2 biggest retail chain of pharmacies. And so what we do with those pharmacies is that we really want to make our pharmacies a community primary healthcare hub for the communities they operate in. And so through our multi-loyalty program, we offer all these services. We have a Nicholas Walker malaria program where we offer free malaria treatment for children under 5. We've done about 200 children. And I think there was really around making sure that, because often people, it's malaria. And sometimes it's not malaria. So really making sure that people were diagnosing the right ailments and getting the right treatment. And that's what has driven that. We have this community, my Muti Doctor, where basically we have community nurses, and it's also creating employment, right? We have community nurses. We started Q4 of last year, where we have nurses going into the community testing for basic health test. and where they identify people with issues, they refer them to our pharmacies. And then we have this telemedicine in our pharmacies where, let's say, there's a pharmacy called Willie King's in Koforidua, and we have a Muti doctor, a nurse there. So the nurse has all the telemedicine equipment, and our doctor is in Accra, in our offices in East Legon.
Wow.
And so he will say, and we have the various devices, he'll say, put it in their ear, and he can see what's going on in the ear. So he can test the different things. So it's almost like having a consultant.
Exactly, that's
but
what I almost said.
remotely.
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
And we offer that for free for our multi-members. And so if something is detected, he can already write you a prescription. Or further labs that need to be done. We also offer, diabetes test and treat program where we offer people free glucometer to basically help them monitor, because it's a lifestyle disease, to help them monitor their diabetes. So you have a nursing coach that calls you to see how you're doing, advises you on, healthy eating, exercising, so you can really manage your disease. And of course, we have the 10,000 Women initiative, where basically, and I'm hoping that some corporate entities are listening as well.
We'll jump on board.
Where, as I said, we're doing free testing for 6,000 women, but out of that, 4,000 of the women, we're actually collecting the samples ourselves. We've left 2,000 where we're actually selling Evelyn brushes, where you can actually go home and take the sample yourself and then bring it and we do the test for free. So you pay 50 cedis for the brush. And then we actually do the test. And usually these HPV DNA tests, I think they cost between 200 to 400 Ghana cedis, and we're doing that for free for all 6,000. But for the 2,000 who are actually collecting the samples themselves, they pay 50 Ghana cedis for the brush, and we do the test for free. So this is also something that we're doing. So mPharma is really looking at how do we make, because in Ghana, a lot of people go to their pharmacy before they go to the hospital.
That's true.
And so how do we make that, our pharmacy, the primary point of healthcare, so that we can prevent serious ailments going forward? So I think if you look at companies like CVS in the US, where do I see mPharma? I think look at the CVS model, and that's what we're trying to replicate in Africa.
Just so people have a fair idea what CVS is about, it's basically what you described there. Everywhere you can walk in, and it's not just a regular, you see. So that's the thing I'm really interested in now, and that's one of the things that draws my attention to mPharma all the time. You're going beyond what pharmacies are even supposed to provide. And so, just as she mentioned, when you're not well, the first point, of course, would definitely be a pharmacy. But how do we break away from you walking in and saying, I need this for what I'm feeling, rather than this is what you need for what's going on in your life now? And so they are bringing the doctors close. And so it's not just in the cities, they're going beyond that. They're going farther into our rural areas and the rest. When you go to a pharmacy, there are multi-nurses there who will literally just deal with you like a doctor will deal with you, because they're equipped with the right tools to ensure they help you diagnose whatever it is that you're going through. And then they give you a prescription as well. And so they basically just cut in the stress.
And you get a discount.
A discount on it as well.
Prescription drugs with your multi-membership.
Exactly.
So it's a win-win.
And they're doing countless projects, but one thing I want to, who is paying for all this? Because all this sound like a lot of money, and it's going out, you're not taking anything for that. Are your doors open, like you mentioned? Are your door opens to people, companies jumping on board to sponsor these things? How does it work?
Okay, so we're a profit-making organization. We're not an NGO. So at the heart of it, we still want to make a profit, but we want to make a profit and have an impact at the same time. And so, as I said, yes, some of these services are being offered for free, but you're also buying the prescription drugs. And so for us, we want to be profitable, but we want to make an impact, while we're being we're driving to the profitability.
Now, you said a lot that will definitely be answers for this I'm about to ask, but what in your opinion is about mPharma vision, that what has made mPharma such an integral part of, our efforts in modernizing the healthcare industry? What's very special about it? You've mentioned the services you offer, but what makes mPharma a strong pillar in moving our healthcare system to the modernized state?
I think we're dynamic.
Okay.
The mPharma I started with in 4 years ago is not the
It's
same.
not the same
mPharma we
mPharma.
see today, because it's also understanding the trends and the needs in the market. Now, a classic example is, at the peak of COVID, when it's all about testing. I was like, what is it? What can mPharma do to support that? So immediately we partnered with one of our investors, Briar Capital, and we started providing PCR testing machines. So by the end of last year, we had provided private labs in Ghana, government institutions across, and even like mining companies across Ghana, Nigeria. We have provided 150 PCR testing equipment. So, for example, when we first started testing, Nyaho was one of the first.
Yeah.
Nyaho was using mPharma equipment.
Nice.
We donated to Noguchi, to Ghana Health Services, to help in that effort. And so what that did is actually we realized that when we started, it was really about enabling private labs to be able to do molecular biological testing.
Nice.
And so what we did is we enabled them, we improved the infrastructure for testing, which is why we're now able to actually drive this 10,000 Women initiative, or drive the awareness around HPV, because we know we have at least 20-30 labs in Ghana that have the equipment to be able to test for that. And so when we saw that, we then, over that period, we've also distributed 1 million COVID test kits across the countries that we work. And so now, when you look at mPharma, we now have a suite of diagnostics offer for labs that can now do, HPV, they can do hepatitis B, and they can do all kind of viral load testing. And so we are now able to improve, delivery of these testing. So, I think what makes mPharma unique is that we're always looking for opportunities, looking at, areas that are under, aren't getting the most exposure and bringing that to the forefront. And that's what we do. Diabetes test and treat program. It's a disease. It's one of these diseases, along with high blood pressure, that's growing in Africa. How can we help to help? How can we help and support people to manage with these diseases? I think it's the innovation, it's the ability to quickly adapt and assess what the market needs and what the people need, and being able to deliver.
I like that.
This is YFM.
So beyond delivering their services, that's what she mentioned, they're far more interested in ensuring that generally we improve healthcare systems here, they're equipping labs, doing all that. Apart from healthcare, what other sectors does mPharma operate in?
Our focus
Is on healthcare.
is on healthcare.
Okay.
The focus is on healthcare. That is our core. That is what we're all about.
All right. Now, looking into the future, people would usually say 5 years from now, well, I'm not doing that. Looking into the future, how is mPharma positioning itself to improve healthcare in the country, as well as the lives of the youth in general? Where are we seeing ourselves in the future, mPharma?
So I think, as I said, we want to grow our multi-pharmacy network.
Okay.
As I said, we're currently at 203. We want to grow at the end of 2021, we're 203. And Q1, we continue to grow. So to aggressively improve or increase our multi-pharmacy networks, so that we can really have the impact that we're talking about and own the primary healthcare space.
All right. Thank you so much for that. Now, in one of your write-ups, all right, you stated that the world is beginning to realize that no meaningful progress can be achieved without women in key leadership positions. Do you agree with calls for affirmative action to ensure women get into key positions, or you expect women to fight and earn their place among their male counterparts? I think you gave me a fair idea of what you might want to say on this.
I think that, when it's fair, then yes. But it isn't always fair.
Yeah.
And so, and affirmative action, it just reminds me of affirmative action in the U.S. right? So when it comes to, let's say, college,
Okay.
now I tick all the boxes. I'm a woman of color, so I tick all the boxes when it comes to affirmative action. But it doesn't mean that what it does is it gives you a foot in the door so you can actually compete, right? So when you get into college, but if you're not able to perform, you'll be expelled. So if the playing ground is fair, then I say yes.
Yeah.
Let them fight. But sometimes it's not
It's
fair.
not fair.
And so you need to have these initiatives in place to allow them to actually to have a foot in the door.
All right, thank you so much. Now, at this point, I'll take questions from you guys at home. If you're locked in now, you have a question for Sophia, send it through, all right? 0202222073. I have a few of them here. This one is coming in from Andy Opoku Frimpong. Andy is at GTUC Ghana. Is this still GTUC? I thought it was Ghana Telecom University. It's not UC anymore. Andy wants to find out what is the most challenging career moment for you as a professional? I mean, what is or what was the most challenging?
Yeah, I think it's about, and it's interesting when I was thinking about some of these things, and for me, it's about conviction and integrity. And when I graduated from college, I worked for a non-profit. It was a Jewish organization. And one of the board members there was very rude and racist, ironically being Jewish, was very racist towards me. And immediately at that point, and it was really, beginning my career, and I gave him my peace of mind. I quit. I didn't have a job to go to, but for me, that was, it was about it was turning a negative into a positive, because what that happened was it freed me up to actually get an opportunity at Morgan Stanley.
You made a statement with
I
that.
made a statement and I took a risk, and what it did was, I think the universe was aligned in my favor, because then it actually gave me access to Morgan Stanley. And so for me, that was a pivotal point, because it was also the beginning of my career, and anything could have happened. But as I said, the cards were aligned in my favor, and it actually ended up opening up an opportunity for me.
All right. Thank you for that. Now, this message in here from, I think he didn't add his name, but his number ends with a 56. It says, what are some of the key indicators I should look out for when moving to another corporate entity, especially for a young professional?
Okay. Actually, I just wanted to read something. So, a gentleman who used to work for mPharma in Nigeria, he and I, he's somebody that I mentor and I guide. And just this morning, he sent me a message. So he's been applying to business school. And, we worked on his recommendation, and he's been accepted into business school. So I asked him, I'm just trying to find his message here. I asked him, so have you decided? So he's decided on the business school that he's going to, but in the interim, he's working. And so he said, I asked him, so what job are you going to take? And he said he has 3 offers. 2 of them are offering him double what mPharma was paying him.
Okay.
One wasn't, but he took the one that wasn't. And I just want to read, and he said, but I chose to stay with this one because of the culture, the work-life balance, and the flexibility.
Culture, work-life balance, and flexibility.
So when you are making that decision, that is what you have to think about. What is important to you? And, when you asked that, I said, why did I move to Belgium? And I said, actually, I wanted an international experience. And I wanted something that was tangible that you could get excited about. And that was what drove me. That was the decision-making factor for me. And so you have to then think about, what is it that I want? And again, going back to, what is the plan that you have, right? And what is it that you want to do? And so when you're looking for that opportunity, it should be part of that. For me, the decision to go to mPharma was all about the vision. What is mPharma trying to do? And the work is as hard as hell, but I wake up every day because there are stories. We did a health screening in a village in Kenya, and this woman came in with her 3 children. All their eyes were red, and you could tell it was infected. And we were offering this free screening that included eye checkup. and they got this eye checkup and everything, and the doctor prescribed the drugs for them, the eye drops. Now, they couldn't afford it. When they walked in, for some reason, I was drawn to them, and I saw them. I was like, there's no way.
You're letting this go.
They're letting this go. And so once they finished, they went into the pharmacy with a prescription. I paid, but I didn't ask them to tell them who I was. But that is what it means to work at mPharma, those stories. Or the Willie King, which is that pharmacy in the center of a market in Kufuria that once was an amazing place that is run down, that mPharma takes and turns around into a multi-pharmacy, and it's alive again. And, you know, mothers who work in the market can now easily come to Willie King's, have access. That's what it means. And so when I'm at mPharma, and sometimes the goals are so, you look at it at the beginning, you're like, really, Greg? You know, but when you hear stories, you see things like that, it motivates you. So, you know, in answer to his question, what motivates you? You know, what is it that motivates you, and let that guide you.
Wow, beautiful. Nice answer. So I sense achievement in there, fulfillment, but it's, you know, it differs from person to person. Okay, so just like she said, know what motivates you. Have your goals set. Have a plan, okay? And then make sure it aligns with the goals of wherever you're going to work. And so if the goal in the company you want to work, or the company you have an opportunity with working with, doesn't really align with what you are going to do, or what you really want to do, then you know there's supposed to be a turning point. You turn away from that. Someone in here, someone is one of my very loyal listeners. Someone wants to know what MUTI is, and I also want to know what it stands for.
Okay. MUTI is our loyalty program, and in some countries it has different meanings. In some countries it has a phallic meaning. In some countries it means well-being. So MUTI is our loyalty program. So you're a MUTI member, gives you access to all the programs that I've talked about. When you enroll onto MUTI, you get a discount on prescription drugs, and then you learn every purchase you make on with your MUTI, you get points that you're able to redeem to purchase. So that's what MUTI is, and so you can sign up for that. And
is the name an abbreviation or it's a word?
MUTTI.
Okay, MUTTI. All right, so Samuel, I hope you got the answer right. On to the next one now. Give me a glimpse, all right? Just paint the perfect picture on how your day goes. What time do you wake up? A day in the life of Sophia.
So on a weekday, I'm up at 3:15 in the morning.
3:15 in the morning.
Yeah. So then I start my run at 3:30. So 3 days out of the week, I run 10 kilometers, and 2 days I walk 10 kilometers. And then by 6, the two of my kids who are left at home are off to school, and then I do part 2 of my workout, which is then either I do Insanity. I don't know if anybody knows Insanity, but I do Insanity.
I think I have an idea what it is.
Yeah, so
the dance?
Insanity is a workout regime, so Google it.
Is it one from Asia?
No.
That's not it.
No.
Okay.
And
you can't just get it on Google.
or I have weights and car tires, and I do some. And I work out at home for an hour, and then my day starts at mPharma, and then I'm gone.
Around what time does it end?
My day for mPharma doesn't end.
It doesn't end.
I leave the office and then I work from home, but I make time for my children when they get home.
I'm trying to balance, because you wake up at 3:15, but you sleep early. You catch enough sleep then?
I catch
sleep. You catch.
And then weekends I rest.
Yeah, okay.
So weekends are my rest.
What do you do for fun beyond working? Because if I just say what you do for fun, you tell me it's the work, because the work is fun.
No,
beyond that.
I think that's one of the disadvantages of being gone. I think I love to shop. Shopping is my Achilles heel. So I love to shop. When I'm not doing that, just hanging out right now, just hanging out with my children as they're growing, being with friends, and I like gardening. When I go to Kenya for work, I smuggle flowers, plants, and so I love to garden. I like to pot around a bit.
Wow. Sophia, what are some of the foundational principles of your household that runs through all your thoughts and actions, the thoughts of your children? What are the principles your home is run on?
Okay. It's about integrity, openness, and being happy.
Okay. Happiness.
Yeah.
How so?
I just think that in life, we only have a short time that we're on this planet. So spend it being happy, doing things that bring you joy, and being happy.
Sounds good.
It sounds good,
Yeah,
but it's
yeah,
hard
yeah.
to achieve.
I know. The word sacrifice comes up once again. A lot of people, I feel, have sacrificed their happiness for things they think they really need.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think a lot of families are not really... I shared a very personal opinion with you earlier on how I had to forgo my general interest for something I had to do,
Yeah.
I wasn't happy that period, but I had to sacrifice that but I think when you really look at life from a personal perspective, I mean the deeper perspective, you realize happiness is key. It's the ultimate goal. Whatever it is that you do must earn you happiness. And so if you have to forgo your happiness to do something, it's not really going to end you in happiness, but you achieve that now by making sure you put happiness first, and the rest of the things you do will all be beautiful.
Yeah, and I think ultimately it's family. I have a very strong bond with my family, and I want my children to have the same. I think we were talking about it, you, Jude, and myself, around, my mother never did it with me, and I'm trying not to do it with my children.
With your
It's
children.
just really looking at their natural talents and helping develop that. Because not everybody's meant to be a doctor, not everybody's meant to be a lawyer, and somebody may be the best, welder and make money doing it because it's what comes naturally to them, and they'll do well. And I think when you have natural talents. So for example, one of the things I actually like doing is I like reading books, biographies. And one of the I read was Snowball, which was a story about Warren Buffett.
Okay.
And there's a story where at 13 years old he had bought a farm and had rented it to people and was actually filing taxes. Right?
At 13?
At 13. So at that point, the natural inclination. There's a guy, he's passed now, but Reginald Lewis, he was the first black billionaire, and he wrote this book, Why Should White Guys Have All the Fun? And in that, at a small age, he owned the newspaper round in his neighborhood, and he was employing his friends
To work for him.
So when you see things like that at such a tender age, you can't tell him to go and be an astronaut, right? Because you see that the natural inclination in them already. So for me, it's really about nurturing what comes naturally to you, what makes you happy, and making sure you go for it. But I think one of the things that gift my mother gave me that I want to give my children is access to education.
Beautiful.
Because I think that is a gift that keeps on giving. Because my mother gave me that gift, I'm able to give it to
your
my
children. Yeah.
So for me, and it doesn't go, your parents asked you to have that degree. That degree doesn't, you have it forever.
Yeah.
And you still have an opportunity to use it for other things. So for me, I think that one of the best gifts you can give your children is education. A sense of integrity and family.
I like that. Sounds good. What have you picked this morning for my interview? Let me know. 0202222073. I think along the line, I'll let you know what I picked as well. I give you mine, you give me yours, okay? We move. So for young ones, especially women aspiring to take up leadership roles, what will be your advice to them based on experience gathered over the years?
Don't always say it's because I'm a woman. Right? Just make sure that you are delivering your best. And in the right environment, you will be recognized for it. But don't always make the default be, it's because I'm a woman that this is happening, or because I'm a woman. Those things are there. But just know, and I think in your heart of hearts, when you've given 110% of yourself. So for me, wherever you are, do the best that you can wherever you are. and you will shine.
All right, so I just got another message from Esther. Esther is at Legon. Says she's at the business school in Legon. Esther wants to find out, okay? I think you mentioned along the line that you love gardening on the side. She wants to know if it's a career you'd want to pick along the line. You might want to venture into that, or is just really healthcare?
For me, it's just I don't have the green fingers. I just love.
You just love the idea of seeing plants grow.
And I think when your hand is in the soil, this sounds really weird, but when you're gardening and you're planting and your hand is in the soil, there's this feeling that you get to lose yourself in doing that, and it's peaceful. It's a peaceful time where you're not even thinking, you're just really doing, and then seeing the plants grow and enjoying them. But no, it's not a career path I want to take.
Chat. All right, thank you so much. Now, Sophia, so what's your favorite Biggie, Notorious B.I.G. song? No, I'm just asking. Don't be scared. It's all good. Just pick one. Is it Big Papa? No. Hypnotized? Nope. Hypnotized. All right. So that's your favorite. All right. So now, Ghana's youth, and young people all across the world, of course, the ones watching us on Facebook now, on our socials, the ones in touch with us through the hashtag, would want to hear something final from you. Okay. What are your words to young people listening to the show today? Tell us something.
Have a plan for your life.
Okay.
I think that's the most important thing. Have a plan for your life. That blueprint, that framework, that anchor that drives the decisions that you make. I think when you have that, it's easier for you to achieve what it is. But if you don't have a plan, then you're wavering.
Yeah.
1 minute you're here, the next minute you're here, and you don't really see, and it's frustrating. So I think that the thing, and you said you wouldn't ask me, but it's something you should ask yourselves. Where do I want to be in 5 years? Or even not in 5 years. What do I enjoy? Right? And so I like this, and I like this. Okay, so what is the job that allows me to do that? Or where is the sector that will allow me to do that and follow that path? And for me, it's have a plan and be true to yourself. Be true to who you are.
Thank you so much for these kind words. My listeners are grateful. I'm grateful. Global Media Alliance is grateful for the time you spent with us today. It's been an hour and 15 minutes, and I've enjoyed every bit of it. Trust me, every bit. Now I want to learn and read more. But to my listeners, if you missed out on any part of the interview, we're bringing it back on YouTube right after the show ends. Just look up Why Leaderboard Series, that hashtag, on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and bits of all she said will come up so you can keep and run with. Mr. Ennis Watson says hi.
I know. Ernest, shall I tell them about the Dartmouth experience or no?
Let's go. Let's make it happen. That's our CEO.
Remember Thanksgiving.
You wouldn't say it? That's all. Thank you so much, Sophia, for spending time with us this morning on Why Leaderboard Series. Guys, Sophia Baah is CEO of mPharma. She's told us so much about mPharma. I think beyond that, if you want to find out more, make sure you get on Google. Just search for them. But this is, mPharma.com. Kindly put on the headphones for me. Let's check this thing out, all right? How does that sound? So that's Sophia's favorite song, Notorious B.I.G. Hypnotized. That's how we wrap up Wiley the Boss series this morning. Shouts going out to Cowbank, MTN Ghana, and Chocomo by Casa Preco. Can you sing along any of the words you're familiar with? Let's make it happen. Let's go. Hey. If you're watching on Facebook, that's Sophia vibing to her favorite song.
This is YFM.